Congratulations, you've unlocked All Apologies, a show about apology tours and demanding satisfaction. I'm your host, Trucker Andy, and with me, as always, is your co-host, Joe Sixpack. Joe, what's going on?
Andy, you know what I noticed in the picture up here that Lockie did? He got my dimple in there. What's up, everybody? I just want to remind everyone to go to allapologies.com to find links to our Patreon, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. So please go there, comment, subscribe, demand apologies, issue apologies, or refuse to apologize, whatever whatever meets your needs in that regard. But go check out allapologies.com.
Right. You can find exclusive content. We just did an episode about Ray Gun, the Australian breakdancing laughing stock.
I don't think you can call it breakdancing.
Yeah.
Interpretive dancing. Somehow an interpretive dancer made it into the breakdancing competition.
I think it was an audition to get into clown college. It was so fucking ridiculous. So
I think it was a fertility ritual in a lost Aborigine tribe or something like that.
I think it's like anti-fertility. That's what a dance somebody would do to turn me off.
Yeah, it's a boner killer.
So all of our paid Patreon members are going to be able to enjoy that content. Members like John and New Girl, Dr. Steve, Brenda, Trevor, and Jackie, SJ, Ray, Guitard, Harry, Zoe, Kate, Tony, Bad Karate, Waylon, Notorious Cretin, Brian, Orange Julius, Sean Savage, Principled Uncertainty, Bob, Hunter, Nicola, Balson, Kyle, Aaron, Tigran, Fun Kilo, Leo, Hall & Oates, The Negative Creep, and Simon the OG. All these people are going to get to enjoy the Ray Gun content. And if you want to enjoy it too, please find us at patreon.com/allapologiespodcast for just $5. There's plenty of exclusive content on there every week. So check that out. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on YouTube. I'm putting some of the older stuff of the old exclusive Patreon.
I was listening to Blind Mike. Blind Mike's just, you get the shows early on Patreon and then he's putting it on YouTube. So I'm like, maybe we put out some of that old stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with putting out some of that older stuff and, building up our presence on YouTube, maybe.
Well, I don't know. I've been toying around with putting the bonus stuff out for free and the real episodes on Patreon.
Andy, we need an Aaron Imholt goal for people to hit. We need a mission. We need
Can I send you like some revenge porn to draw some attention to this show? I'm just going to send you this picture of my ex-girlfriend real quick so that people will start paying attention to our show.
Your boy didn't do too bad, did he?
We're gonna get the goal of committing a felony.
What a fucking dildo that guy is. I've never seen somebody just like fly in the face of a warning and just, be told flat out that what you're doing is wrong and still just do it anyway. I don't know. Maybe it's there's no such thing as bad press in his life.
I guess. It reminds me of that guy that signed into his Zoom call with a judge about his license being suspended while he was pulling into a parking lot behind the wheel. Did you see that?
No, I thought you were going to say the guy who's like, I'm not a cat, where he had the Snapchat filter on.
He's pulling into a parking lot while he signs into his court date via Zoom because he's like, well, I don't have a license. I guess I'll have to come during by Zoom. And the judge picks up on him and he's in the car, parking his car. She's like, you're under arrest.
What a jackass. Where's to play the sorry. Yeah. Man, so what a moron.
Yeah. Aaron, that guy. Other people that maybe have fucked up along the way include Ray Gun and possibly TJ Miller. To this week, Joe's going to be explaining to us what TJ Miller's situation was.
Yeah, so I'm kind of the fuck up in this situation because with we're a little behind. You know, like New Girl came along and we wanted to do that show, but before, like right post DabbleCon or like right at DabbleCon, I had seen Deadpool and Wolverine. So I was like, oh, it would be topical to cover TJ Miller. So if you don't know, TJ Miller is an actor, comedian, and controversial figure, basically. You might know him from Silicon Valley, the Yogi Bear movie, or the Emoji Movie. So with the new Deadpool movie out, I wondered like why he isn't with that franchise anymore.
Noticeably absent from the movie.
Right. Like, yeah, you have the
Blind Al.
Yeah, you have Blind Al and the big
cab driver.
The cab driver, the big beefy bald guy from the bar,
Colossus.
and the nobody dude that was on X-Force. All these dudes. What was that guy's name? I forget.
You know, I mean, it was interesting. No Domino, no Cable, no Weasel.
But yes to what's his name there? Shatterstar. Shatterstar was in there. Anyway,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. But TJ Miller noticeably absent from that franchise, and why he just seems also to burn out in a lot of the projects he's associated with. You know, Silicon Valley noticeably kind of just like up and done. And I thought this would be a rich target environment for apologies. Spoiler alert, it isn't. Turns out making excuses is a solid way to avoid apologizing. And so I think part of it, or from my perspective, if I think about what I knew about TJ Miller, I knew that there were sexual assault, like in the age of Me Too and Time's Up. Somebody came at TJ Miller. She says, you know, unnamed woman says, he just tried a lot of things without asking me, and at no point asked me if I was all right. He choked me, and I kept staring at his face, hoping he would see that I was afraid. Okay, well, that sounds like you did and said nothing, and then waited till he was famous to try and fuck him over. Like, you just like, he did things, and I never stood up for myself. So that's sexual assault.
That's the problem with the hashtag Me Too. Is every woman was running around going, yeah, me too. Me, also me. This is a thing that happened to me. TJ Miller maybe tried to slip me a digit and I didn't enjoy it, even though I consented to having sex with him. He maybe tried something in the bedroom that I wasn't on board with. So me also.
Yeah.
No, that's not, you're missing the point.
Yeah. So the other thing,
not everyone, it's not hashtag everyone as well.
So I think what little I know, like, I'm not saying I'm no TJ Miller expert, or, you know, obviously a little more research into all of this. I think one of the things that I did know before even diving into this is that TJ Miller always has his wife like right next to him, like always. I've heard him reference her countless times, even in his stand-up and stuff like that. I think he talks about her,
like a Gaffigan-esque type.
Yeah, but it sounds like this goes back a long time. According to TJ Miller and his wife Kate, this woman has kind of just been trying to get in between them for a long time, or fuck up their relationship for a long time. Ed, if you could pull up their response here. So there's Kate Gorney. You can see at the bottom is his wife's name. And, you know, if I was TJ Miller, I'd probably keep her right next to me all the time, too. She looks pretty cute.
Yeah.
But so it says here, sadly, she is now using the current climate to bandwagon and launch these false accusations again. It is unfortunate that she's choosing this route, as it undermines the important movement to make women feel safe coming forward about legitimate claims against real known predators. So obviously they're refuting this. They're saying they've known this person for a long time. Her fucking with their relationship has been something that they've been dealing with for years. And she was just using this climate to damage TJ Miller.
That's the problem.
I'd say mission accomplished, basically, because I heard about it, I'm like, oh, he's canceled. He did it. He's fucked.
Yeah. That's the problem with believe all women. It's like people forget that there are crazy ex-girlfriends out there. There's unhinged bitches that are going to try and screw up your relationship. They're going to fake pregnancies. They're going to try and say that the baby's yours when it's not, so that you support it for 18 years. These are things that really do happen. So you just have to be on the lookout for that kind of thing. And when people, like they said, when people make these false claims, it delegitimizes the people that actually did go through real shit. So,
Right. And I would say
women are their own worst enemies, is what is my point.
What I'm going to do, I guess maybe the point here would be that these sexual assault allegations, I would say, happened either before or right around the first Deadpool. So it didn't keep him from being in other Deadpools. It hasn't like damaged his ability to get work in Hollywood. So how credible can it be?
He was really on the rise when this sort of derailed his gravy train. He was on Silicon Valley. He was in Big Hero 6 in a supporting role. Like when you get that Disney cred, like Sarah Silverman, you kind of stop worrying about money. So that's EMOJI Movie thing, Ready Player One, Deadpool. He was a household name he was like a go-to guy as comedy relief for a couple of minutes for the time between Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2, it seems like.
Yeah, well, and now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, I feel like he left Silicon Valley before the first Deadpool even. So, and this would have been even before that, I think. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. Point being, I described him as actor, stand-up comedian, controversial figure. Controversy just kind of like follows this guy around. And that's one of the themes that we're going to kind of dive into is like, well, why is he perceived this way? Or why can this guy not really seem to hold down a job?
TJ Miller is under arrest, accused of calling in a fake bomb threat. Federal prosecutors say that he called 911 and claimed that a woman on his Amtrak train had a bomb in her luggage. Investigators say the former Silicon Valley star made the call after he got into an argument with that woman. Amtrak employees say Miller was drunk and was ordered off the train in New York City. Police searched the train in Westport, Connecticut, but did not find anything dangerous. Miller is free on $100,000 bond.
Andy, this sounds like in high school when I had a chemistry test and I called in a bomb threat and blamed it on the teacher.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't understand this. They say if you see something, say something. And so if you're wrong, you're charged with a felony now, or you're charged and stuck with $100,000 bail because you thought you saw something suspicious. I don't understand this.
Yeah, I know. And so in my next clip here, TJ was on with Jim and Sam. And so Sam Roberts kind of was curious too.
Can you talk? I don't know if you can legally or not.
No.
You can't talk about the Amtrak stuff because it's an ongoing.
Yeah, absolutely not. No, I mean, and you know what? It isn't. Yeah, there's just it's a misunderstanding that I have with the federal government, and that's kind of the end of it to those ends. And but it's very difficult because that, in and of itself, not speaking on that subject, but just in general, that kind of added to the public's perception of exactly what you're saying. That's why you brought it up. You're like, well, are you truly a maniac? And it's like, no, I am not.
Could you act like a bigger dick about it? No, absolutely not. No. I mean, just say I can't talk about it. You don't have to.
I have a misunderstanding with the federal government as well, Joe. They want me to pay taxes, and I don't want to.
You're such Andy. We should not do a show together because our comments are the same. I have a misunderstanding with the federal government too. I want them to do something meaningful with my taxes, and they continue to just line their own pockets.
Yeah.
I think TJ Miller was looking for like-minded individuals, so he went on Steve-O's podcast because they can relate to each other. Here we find out a bit more about why TJ is who he is.
TJ Miller is in trouble with alcohol or something like that. And I remember feeling like concerned for you. And then that concern just kind of like went away because there hasn't been any stories like that.
Well, and what's interesting, and I'm going to talk about this probably in March, but I have a brain condition. And I just,
oh, that's right. You had brain surgery.
I had brain surgery, and they took out a golf ball sized piece of my brain. And it was from my right frontal lobe.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it isn't additional chromosomes then? Oh, well, that's a relief. You can see TJ's that he's eating on the show because he's selling hot sauce like Carl, Hot in the Rock, Silk City hot sauce. So TJ Miller and Carl are selling hot sauce.
They took a golf ball out of my brain, and then I was just trying to play through on an Amtrak train, and they didn't appreciate it when I yelled "4" at a woman with a ticking suitcase. What the fuck is he talking about?
They took a golf ball sized piece of my brain out, and then I put some of my hot sauce on it and ate it.
I know. He's like, I'll do your show, but I'm gonna eat lunch through it. And also, I fucking hate Steve-O's t-shirt. Fuck you, dude. Liquid, it's like an Iron Maiden ripoff Liquid Death shirt.
Well, he's sober now.
Don't fucking use Iron Maiden to facilitate you shilling for Liquid Death.
I think that's Liquid Death's problem, not Steve-O's.
Well, I don't appreciate that, and I don't appreciate Steve-O wearing it.
Here, TJ talks about AVM.
Steve-O's a poser.
And I was born with an AVM, which is an arteriovenous malformation. And it's just a malformed part of your brain that never really develops. It's just a mess of arteries and veins that you don't use. But it is, it's prone to hemorrhaging. It's like more fragile than the rest of your brain. But what's weird, and again, I just didn't talk about this for a long time because I didn't want to make it a part of my identity, I guess was the reason I didn't, or I didn't want to be honest with myself that I was brain damaged. Or as my neuropsychologist says, had a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah. Oh, Andy, I misheard. I have AVN on the brain most of the time, not AVM.
Yeah, okay. I'd be using it as an excuse to get away with everything. You're just like grabbing asses in line at the supermarket. You'd be like, oh, it's just like, I have a brain injury that makes me, I can't help myself.
Well, that is what he's doing. That is what he's doing. Like he's saying,
he didn't want to pull that card. He didn't want to play that card. That would be the first card I played.
Yeah,
I can't help it. I have brain damage.
Right. So I think he talks a little because it's weird because he goes on Jim and Sam and he's like, I can't talk about it. And then he goes on Steve-O's show and like spills. He's wearing like the same jacket.
He won't.
He's like wearing the same clothes, but he won't tell Jim and Sam about it. But he'll tell Steve-O all about it. I don't know how far apart these things were, but
he just doesn't like Sam Roberts. I mean, who does? But
I don't know. Okay, in this last Steve-O clip, he talks about this being a manic episode.
And so then what happened was I had a manic episode on the train where I sort of believed that this woman was dangerous, and which translates to other like, well, women can be dangerous and women that you don't know can do awful things and all this kind of, so that was all in my brain. And then I thought, New Yorker, I'm very proud of living in New York City. I was like, well, if you see something, say something. So I want to be a good New Yorker. And so I saw something, I said something.
Yeah. Steve-O strains to make sense of this. Watch out, 9/11 Part 2. TJ Miller's on the lookout.
You know when you're freaking out, Steve-O, that you're maybe unhinged. Steve-O's jumping out of planes and trying to beat off before he pulls the ripcord. And even he's like, this guy's out of his mind.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that incident. And I don't know. It sounds like it either may or may not be resolved at this point. I don't know what the ramifications of it are. Like,
What it doesn't sound like is an apology for freaking out a woman on a train that didn't deserve it.
Well, once again, that's why we started this. I'm like, okay, there's multiple incidents here. There's got to be an apology somewhere, but it is never that. It's like I never sexually assaulted that woman, and that's fine. If you didn't, you should not be apologizing. Oh, you did call in a bomb threat though, and so maybe you do owe someone an apology. Probably the hundreds or thousands of people that missed appointments and shit because they stopped a train. You might owe them an apology, but no, he's not going to apologize for that. It's because I have brain damage. So no, we're just going to make excuses for our behavior.
Sounds like he's an only child, like nothing I ever do is wrong because my parents got divorced and I had 2 Christmases my entire life. I mean, I don't know him in any way, but that sounds like the kind of person that would behave this way.
Yeah, and I think more of that will emerge as we go into our next segment here, which is about him leaving Silicon Valley, and he was very much a controversial figure on that show, and I think very much a standout. I think he was a bright spot on that show.
It was worse after he left.
Yeah, the show was not as good without him. He really brought the Erlock or whatever his name character was very bombastic, and it suited him very well. He played that part very well. It was almost him playing himself in a way. It felt like.
And he was kind of supposed to be maybe a Steve Jobs type, that was piggybacking off of the Wozniak brilliance of the Middleditch character. So he was supposed to be unlikable in a certain way, but charming in his own way. And he was perfect in that. He was great in that regard.
Yeah, I guess maybe not that it matters too much, but if you're not familiar with the show, he hosted what they called the incubator. He let a bunch of nerds live with him while they were developing their apps. Excuse me. He had a successful app, so he had a bit of money, and he was always trying to get in on the ground floor of the next app. And so if he supported it from the beginning, then he would be able to cash in on it in the long run. That was the character that he played. So Thomas Middleditch was on the show. I did see some type of interview with the two of them, very much friendly back and forth, like going at each other in a playful way, but like cutting each other down to their face, going back and forth. But then Thomas Middleditch goes on, I think this is Larry King. So your co-host has some thoughts on your behavior now.
Would you call him a friend?
Probably not now, but I don't wish him any ill will. I mean, I hope he does great in whatever he wants to do, but...
Were you shocked when he said that?
Yeah, I would say it was unexpected that he took it that far, but at the same time, what are you going to do? I suppose you can't go through this business entirely unscathed, so if someone wants to throw your name under the bus, what are you going to do? I don't want to retaliate. Again, at the same time, I hope he does great.
So I don't have what he said, but it's almost irrelevant in this context because we'll get more into that a little down the line. But I wanted to throw that in there just to show that he has good relationships with people, and he has maybe this
tendency
for shitting on people. Like he'll talk shit. Like a lot of people would care about their reputation and how they're perceived and say, I don't want to burn this bridge. TJ Miller just burns every bridge that he crosses, it seems like.
Except with Drew Lane. He's boys with Drew Lane.
Is he? Well, yeah. I mean, but he's a touring comedian. I'm sure he goes through Detroit and he'll stop in and be great. And he seems like a cool guy like that. But what are you get that? But also, what are you getting along with it? Is what it kind of seems like.
He probably said that Middleditch and Schwartz that improv show that he did with Ben Schwartz was shit because it was. And he just told the truth.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I think I saw 5 minutes of it before
Yeah.
I said this.
If you're
trash.
a fan of improv, check it out. I
God.
fucking hate improv.
Yeah.
Schwartz.
Yeah,
Garbage.
I mean, I know Thomas Middleditch is like an improv guy, and like, you know, if you're an actor and you're creating that shit, I mean, that's what that's for. But like stand-up comedy, like that, it makes sense that Thomas Middleditch and TJ Miller would be like, you know, oil and water, where these things don't mix at all. I don't know how they even got through. So Thomas Middleditch, a little disappointed about what TJ Miller had to say about him after the fact or while leaving the show. The bigger controversy here is that another co-star, it's so weird. I watched that stupid Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates or something. And Alice Wetterland was in that movie. And I'm like, I don't remember seeing this woman anywhere other than on Silicon Valley, and then I watched that movie last night, and she was in that movie. But so here, your other co-star has some thoughts on TJ Miller. And if you could bring up that screenshot here, everybody, don't bother trying to read all this. I'm going to skip down to her tweets. Halfway down here, it says, "Yes, it's definitely time to rehabilitate TJ Miller's career. We can't afford to lose talent at a time like this. We need more, not less, comedic hijinks, such as," checks notes, "calling in a fake bomb threat." So that's why I had to do the train part before I did this, because the whole falling out with Silicon Valley happened before the train thing, but now she's tweeting about TJ Miller and the train incident. Okay. Then the other one, go back to that real quick, Ed. Pull that back up. What'd you say, Ed?
It was a misunderstanding.
Yeah. Well, okay. So then it's okay. So the next one, it says, "Thank you." She's responding to a tweet. I don't want to ruin the show for you, but TJ Miller was a bully and petulant brat, and pretty much everyone who had any power on that almost male set, including the male cast members, enabled him and were complicit in his unprofessionalism. They can fuck off forever. So that was her statements on Twitter. So this is the part of the show where we think TJ is the bad guy, but someone else emerges as a bigger asshole. This is maybe dumb, but having worked for quote unquote artists like Mike Judge and Alec Berg, who treated me like dog water, I just trust my instincts now. What I went through on Silicon Valley was minimized and dismissed, but I knew what was going on. No one believed me at the time. How dare you put quotes around artists when talking about Mike Judge? Okay. Have you ever talked to someone and they don't even realize how idiotic they sound because they're so uninformed on a subject? Go check out her stand-up if you hate laughing. She is not funny. Apparently doesn't know anything about Mike Judge. Like, I'm not going to list the reasons why Mike Judge is a genius, but I think we all know that. So just be careful how you frame an argument sometimes, I guess.
A legend didn't recognize some nobody's talent.
I'm just sorry for being a freaking idiot.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. So now those were her statements, right? And now TJ Miller is getting questions about this. And I believe this is on Jim and Sam, right? So TJ Miller's back on Jim and Sam here talking about this. Before he addresses this here, this is a revealing tidbit. This was a little later in the interview. He says this, but I wanted to put it kind of up front here. This is about his reputation.
I had a reputation in Hollywood as sort of a benevolent, benign maniac. You know, I am a maniac.
Like the golf ball in my head.
For no money and didn't eat it all. And then by cultivating a sort of persona that is true to life, that is just kind of, I'm a bit of a maniac. I think then people, if they don't know what to do with you, then they quickly are looking to categorize you.
Yeah, asshole is that category. I don't know. I feel like he's using "I'm a maniac" as an excuse for his behavior or for failing. You know, it's just like, oh, I can just use this every time. It's like Patrick Michael level. I wasn't even trying to do a good show.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a maniac. Oh, but I did a terrible comedic stand-up routine last night. Oh, it's just because I'm wacky, everyone.
Because
It's not because I suck.
because I had part of my brain removed. Why is Jimmy's chair all the way up? He looks like a pharmacist. He's towering above TJ, so he could
You
big
don't
time
get higher
him.
than the king, Andy.
Well, that I was going to say that it's. I mean, we've all seen him live. He's only like 5'3". I mean, he's not much taller than my daughter. So I mean,
How many
and I
phone
love
books-
Jimmy, but he's not a big guy, so he's
how
got to
many
like.
phone books is he sitting on?
Okay, so in this clip 2 here, here TJ addresses Alice's tweets.
She may have had that experience, but it's again people trying to enter the headlines, get in the cycle, the media cycle, break the cycle for a second, and then it was not my experience that anybody was bullying her or being
What was your relationship like with her?
mean to her. Well, truthfully, I felt like it was difficult to work with her because she kept interrupting Zach Woods, and that was my perspective of it.
As
but-
people, do you mean all like when they were talking?
No, during takes.
Oh.
And even when she was off camera.
Yeah,
She's mid, bro.
I think that about sums it up.
Well, I mean, she was probably trying to keep up with the boys' club. I mean, like she said, there's a lot of times where but you're in a room with Zach Woods, who is very quick, TJ Miller very quick, Middleditch very quick, Kumail Nanjiani, Martin Starr,
Right.
all these personalities in there, and then she's just like trying to get a word in edgewise, and everybody's like, oh, shut the fuck up, new person that barely deserves to be here.
Yeah,
You're a DEI hire, Alice.
I do remember when they brought her in, and I did like her character. I thought like they did have a good character with her, but it wasn't anything. Like she wasn't, setting the world on fire. She wasn't, displacing other people in the cast or.
Yeah. Well, she feels like she's that dude that played Cyborg in the Justice League, and Zack Snyder didn't utilize her. Mike Judge is the Zack Snyder who didn't utilize Cyborg enough. So just wait for the Judge cut of Silicon Valley to come out, where the lesbian hacker is the main character now.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing a lot of this in Hollywood, or at least with Disney. Brie Larson being kind of the most notable one at this point, who has this same kind of opinion of just like, well, you have to insert me into like all this shit, or I was told that I was going to be the focal point of everything. It's just like, no, you're not. Nobody cares about you, and just be happy you're here.
It's you don't show up like that in a room full of mega stars and that have been doing it for over 6 years, and then you come on the scene and go, this is all about me now, right? You do it like Paul Rudd when he was on the last 2 seasons of Friends, and then he's at the finale and the rap party, and he walks up to Jennifer Aniston and is like, hey, I can't believe we did it, everybody, right? Can you believe we did it, all of us all together? He's doing that as a bit. He really did that, and that's funny. That's the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not walk in and be like, I've been here since day one. I should be making as much as Robert Downey Jr., right?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know if her stand-up was before this or after it or whatever, but it's not funny. I challenge anybody to go ahead and check it out. She's not funny.
It's sit down. It's not stand up.
Yeah, right.
It's get out.
Okay. In this next clip, TJ's talking about like a disconnect.
And so I don't think that anybody was bullying her. I think at the very least there was some sort of obviously there's a disconnect, because she's saying these negative things about me and then attacking the mostly all male cast of Silicon Valley. And it's just, I guess by force, I'm getting better at just saying, okay, these are completely untrue things that are being told about me. There are millions of people that absolutely believe these things, but there are hundreds of millions of people that don't care or have tuned all of this out.
Yeah. So the all male cast. That sounds like she's on the set of Magic Mike. Silicon Valley was about geeks, dweebs, and spazzes. It's not like she was getting Sigma splained to, Also, know your role and shut your mouth. She was a side character. Like, you were brought in after the fact. You're not like you're Fraser Crane. I mean, I know he went on to have his own show, but you're not Sam Malone. You're not Woody. You're somebody else. You're not Norm.
Yeah. I like that TJ is wearing a baseball cap that says lids. It reminds me of, I used to have to deliver Coca-Cola to Dollar General, and the Dollar General had clothing, and one of the things they had was a basketball jersey that just said NBA. It was just the NBA logo. It's not a team. It's not a player. It's just the logo. It's like, I like basketball.
Yeah. It's like being a fan of the NFL referees and the league. I love Roger Goodell. Shut up.
Yeah. I'm sure TJ's lids hat is an ironic joke in that way.
Oh,
but
Andy, he's so wacky. Like he says, I think he says something like that coming up here. TJ likes to drop humble brags as much as possible in our next clip here.
Already somebody's thrown more gasoline on it. And I jokingly said in a Vulture piece a long time ago, I was like, I'm okay being the villain. But I didn't really understand that then once the election happened, people were really looking for villains.
Mhm.
And there are some real villains out there, and they've been brought to whatever kind of justice, I guess, they've been brought to. But then there's some people that are just being thrown under the tank treads, and there is no recourse. There's no way to come back from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a Vulture piece. Ooh, la-di-da. He makes a valid point about taking shrapnel in cancel culture, though. I mean, that's clearly one of the things that
it happened to Aziz. It happened to Aziz. It happened to Chris Hardwick. It happened to TJ.
He's a fucking Chad.
Yeah. Well, when you're an insufferable ADD kid, you open yourself up to a lot of criticism, I think.
Yes.
I think that's a lot of what it is he just runs his fucking mouth nonstop, and people just get fed up with it. I don't know if you can call. I don't know if you've ever run into somebody who has like adult ADD,
like Robin Williams or Todd Glass.
Yeah, they just won't. It just never stops.
They're never off. They're always on.
They can't even help. They really can't even. You can be like talking about them to them. It's just like, dude, can you just stop for a minute? And they'll just keep going.
Robin Williams did end up turning it off, though.
He did turn it off. Would kind of say he went to Greenland. Here, TJ talks about why he, quote unquote, decided to leave Silicon Valley of his own free will. What an altruistic hero.
I thought it would end the cyclical nature of the show. I thought that it would give people like Jin Yang, which it has, Jimmy O Yang, a lot more room. I was hoping that Amanda Crew would get more room, which I haven't seen as much, but she's incredibly hilarious.
No one's
her
interested
being like,
in that. Right.
this guy's a piece of shit, and everybody enabled him being a piece of shit. And I think you can kind of feel there is a disconnect with a lot of people that either know my work or know me. You can kind of feel that I am not a bully. I don't think I have the energy of somebody who comes in and is like, hey, shut up, okay? The men are talking right now. Like, that's not.
You said
the
that to me.
idea. But to be fair, you're acting a little effete.
I disagree with that. Well, I think TJ Miller has the capacity to kind of nag somebody in the room just to be a bully in the room. I could see him doing that.
I don't think it's bullying.
Not to a malicious degree, though, but stand-up comedians do it to each other all the time.
I think he's just dominating a conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, a Rich Voss will call everybody a middler and tell another stand-up comedian to get him a cup of coffee as a nag. It's what they do. So and somebody like this Alice nobody that doesn't realize that might take it as boys club sexual harassment.
Well, Andy, TJ just wanted somebody else to get a little shine. You know, he didn't want to be in the spotlight as much. So
that's why he walked off a successful show.
Yeah, he wanted somebody else. Yeah, I believe that. Like, I believe Nancy Pelosi, you know, is just really good at picking stocks. You know, he's an attention whore who wants 100% of the spotlight and left to make the EMOJI Movie. Ed, pull up the tomato meter of the EMOJI Movie. Yeah, it looks like a real box office smash here. But you know, credit where credit is due. I did look up the box office take. It cost $50 million to make, and it made $217 million worldwide. So you know, people are idiots. People like blood sausage.
Why are studios greenlighting shit like that? Why do you need a TJ Miller and a Jason Sudeikis paycheck on the budget for a movie like that, where no kid is going to be like, I got to see that because TJ Miller's in it. I got to go see the new Transformers movie because John Hamm is Optimus or whatever the fuck. Scarlett Johansson is the voice of Jazz. You don't need these A-list paychecks on the budget of a movie for kids that don't even know that the people that are doing the voices. This
is hilarious because Andy obviously doesn't have kids. It's not about that. It's about legitimizing it to the parents that have the kids.
I don't have kids because I'm smart.
Yeah, that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Well,
but it really is that. It's
I guess it's like a parent was willing to sit through it because
there's a known commodity on it, and maybe they'll get something for themselves in this 2-hour pile of dreck that they have to watch.
Like
maybe, but Andy and I literally just had this conversation today. We were watching fucking the commercials during the game, and I'm like, why the fuck is Honda paying John Cena to be the voice in the commercial? It makes no fucking sense. Like, you don't know that that's John Cena unless you are very familiar with John Cena.
He's not on camera. Buy a Honda.
Yeah, he's not on camera. You're if you like wrestling, you're not buying a pilot. I just don't like. You could pay somebody tremendously less and get a better voice talent. It makes zero sense.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, in our last clip here, we talk about the consequences of some of this.
But people don't think about or care that there's me and Kate is at home reading this stuff, and I'm at a point now where she's like, don't really mention me in social media because you get so much hatred coming at you. And to hear your own wife say that she doesn't want to be associated with you on online, that was a pretty tough conversation, and it made me very, very sad. But I think people just don't care. It doesn't matter to them that there's a wounded guy or that there's something that's said that's a lie or it's just someone's perspective. It doesn't matter. It's not a wounded guy. It doesn't sell papers.
It's a bully getting what he deserves, right?
Right. Well, and that's what it is
or an assaulter or whatever, like whatever the accusation is. Now you're getting what you deserve.
Yeah.
Right. So bad guy gets his comeuppance is like the narrative there, because we talked about
instead of I'm the victim, people should be apologizing to me and my wife.
Yeah. I mean, and that is kind of bullshit and sad because, like I said before, if there's one thing that I knew about TJ Miller before we even got into this topic, it's that his wife is by his side, like always. So for her to be like, just leave me out of this because, you're getting a little shit on my white shoes.
Yeah.
It's a little shitty. So that's that topic there. Alice Wetterland sucks. TJ Miller has, this opinion of himself. He's going to save everyone else's career by removing himself from the situation. So this guy,
he's a hero.
Who he is. Yeah. And so when
he's
you're
stopping bombs being on trains, and he's giving people more shine on a show that he was maybe the best person on. It's like when Michael Scott left The Office. He walks off this show, and everybody else has to pick up the slack, and it's maybe the show is worse off for it. But TJ Miller is trying to help everybody.
I think you stumbled across a apt comparison of that. I feel like TJ Miller is a real life Michael Scott, where like he's just so he can't understand why anybody would not be on his side. Everyone thinks he's funny, and he's just like the life of the party everywhere he goes, and he can't understand why people can't stand that. It just never turns off. I think you said Robin Williams. I think that's very apt as well. It's just like always happening. Although we know Robin Williams wasn't the happiest of guys.
I don't want TJ Miller to end up like Robin Williams.
No, definitely not. I do. I will admit, like I like kind of an asshole. I like TJ Miller. We're on him. But I've enjoyed him and shit, and I do think he's insufferable at times as well. Let's get into some more of the insufferable parts.
Yeah, I do think that he maybe has something to apologize for that he's not apologizing for, particularly inconveniencing a specific woman on a train and probably everybody else on that train to a certain degree. Maybe you could say, "Well, I'm sorry, that didn't work out. I misread a situation." And I'm sorry that it went that way for everybody that had nothing to do with something that I facilitated. You could apologize for that.
Yeah, well, I think an apology like that would have to come from some PR team. And I feel like TJ Miller is probably also the type of guy who him and his wife handle all of his affairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no like public statement coming out. There's no PR team, he's just like, here I am, everyone. So moving on to more of the Deadpool centric part of this, TJ went on Adam Carolla's show and decided to just shit watery diarrhea all over Ryan Reynolds in this first clip.
I think that Ryan Reynolds, Kate thinks Kate thinks he's super frenemy with me, or even just that he hates me. I could see him hating me. But I said on Hot Ones, I went on Hot Ones and I said that
humble brag.
What was great about Deadpool is they covered up his handsome face because he's so distracting. He must know this, but it's so distracting to look at him, and guys don't want to laugh at him because he looks like the guy that fucked your high school girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And then girls don't really want to laugh at him. They just think he's cute.
I mean, is that true? Like, Ryan Reynolds seems like Canada's favorite son. Like, if you follow the battle between Disney and Deadpool and Wolverine, you know that Reynolds is a champion of defending that property and legitimately dominated the suits at Disney to make sure that they didn't fuck that movie up. So shut up, TJ. Like, I mean, you got to give that guy plenty of credit when it comes to that property. So,
yeah. I mean, I would say that he does hate him to a certain degree. He didn't have him in the third one, so I don't know. I don't know when he was on Hot Ones. I did just watch the Hot Ones of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman on there together. It was pretty funny.
Well, yeah, the idea that Ryan Reynolds isn't funny because he's so handsome, I mean, I don't know if like Matt Rife isn't but like there is this world where nobody wants good-looking guys to be funny too. It's
also
like
funny.
Yeah, you have to be good-looking, funny, and have a huge dick and be rich. Like, can somebody else get a woman somewhere along the line here? So that's probably his perspective on that, or at least it's the angle he's trying to take with this. So in the next clip here, Ryan's just too successful for TJ.
When you cover his face, he's so quick. He's so funny. So I love him as a comedian. But I think after he got super, super famous from the first Deadpool, then he yeah, things kind of changed. I think he was like, see, you guys see. And then I think I don't know. I mean, would I work with him again?
See what?
No.
Well, no one's asking you to. Andy, would I fuck Anna de Armas? No. No one's asking you to.
And no one, you'd never have the chance to. But yeah, no one was hiring you back. Would I work with him again? Well, if they called me, probably.
Yeah,
why wouldn't I? But they didn't.
In this next clip, let's throw Michael Bay under the bus, Andy.
But I've said that about Michael Bay, and now we're friends, and I would work with him again. But I think Michael Bay is different.
Ew.
Michael Bay worked on a movie with Ryan Reynolds also. And so he has a very specific opinion.
That may mirror
of
your
Ryan
own.
Reynolds. And that was a good part of our last conversation with me and Bay.
Whoa, tea spilled. Andy, how quick did Michael Bay get on the phone with Ryan Reynolds after this interview and say, Ryan, that talentless, brain dead blabbermouth has no idea what he's talking about. I'll send Megan Fox over and have a 3-way with you and Blake Lively to smooth this all over. Don't listen to that guy.
Guess what? People have a very specific opinion about Michael Bay too.
Yeah, right.
So everybody in this conversation, people have a specific opinion about TJ Miller and Adam Carolla and Ryan Reynolds. So I don't know what your point is, but I think Michael and Ryan are gonna come out the other side of this just fine.
Yeah, right. So what is this all coming from, right? So here's TJ talks about a weird moment on set.
But I sort of wish him well because he's so good at Deadpool, and I think it's weird that he hates me. And
Well,
I think some people
do you know he hates
we
you?
had a really weird moment on Deadpool where he said, let's do one more take. And everyone was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then as the character, he was like horrifically mean to me, but to me,
Cathartic.
as if I'm Weasel.
Yeah, and I hope the 2 phones that he has in his shirt pockets are just bombarding his heart with 5G. Like, I don't know what he's doing. I'm so quirky. I've got 2 phones. Look, everyone, what are you doing? But
I wish I could remember what it was. I've seen a bit in a show or a movie that was just like that. I want to say maybe it was a scene in Extras, that Ricky Gervais show, and one of the A-listers that's featured in that show is just telling Ricky Gervais that he's a piece of shit to his face, and in the last take or something like that. It's a bit that's been done before, and I feel like Ryan Reynolds was probably just doing that bit to TJ because TJ can get on your nerves, let's say.
Yeah.
It's probably just, taking the piss out of him to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
it's Ryan Reynolds' movie. He can do whatever he wants.
And you will respect my authority.
It's also like it's the third. Like TJ doesn't understand the movie that he's in. It seems like that there's fourth wall breaking. Like reality is creeping into the movie, or it's not even that he thinks that of TJ Miller. He's just saying it about that Weasel character of just like, well, there's really, what is the point of this? What is the point of our interaction here? It's exposition, it's comic relief, and you're not quite the reason people are here, but you're still here. So let's get in this in our Corolla 5 clip here, Ed.
So he was like, what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you just, you do just enough exposition that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie.
So he's riffing.
Well, he's
here,
right.
Obviously.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's exactly why he said that.
How much riffing?
Because I'm not funnier than he is at all, right? And I haven't been in more movies than him. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Yeah, I've never heard a more try-hard douche-chilling response.
Yeah, I know. That's really cringe. I mean, how many times have you been on the top of the call sheet though, TJ? It's not like I've been a 2-day bit part guy on way more movies. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I like to say, I always say this: the supermarket sells way more hamburger than they do filet mignon. It doesn't make it better.
I know, it's quality, it's quantity, not quality, right?
Right? Like, oh, I've been in way more movies, so
yeah, way more pieces of shit.
yeah.
The EMOJI Movie, for God's sake.
Right. Here's more cringe. Clip of 6.
For the most part, when I do a film or on a television set, the crew really enjoys me because I'm nice to everybody and I'm also funny. And after a take, everybody starts laughing once they cut. And I sort of laugh and enjoy and talk to everybody. And I'm just not sure every, movie star does that.
Andy, everyone loves this podcast because I'm funny and people enjoy me. Can you imagine saying this and believing your own bullshit? Like, this guy is canning his own farts for sale as we speak.
I show up on set and I'm well dressed. I shake everybody's hand and say hi to their mother for me. And I buy everybody a motorcycle at the end of the production.
Yeah, I'm polite and clean and I show up on time. So everyone likes me. Great. Andy, in clip 7 here, jokes are funny.
I think he's kind of an insecure dude. He's really nice, but I mean, his Twitter bio is showing you the parts of me that tested the best in focus groups. And I'm not sure that he's joking. I think that might actually be his real sentiment there. But again, he's so funny and he did this movie and he's worked so hard to get this movie made and it's people's favorite movie.
It's just, I've seen these guys before. Like, I mean, I haven't seen it feel like since high school, but it's just like, just so desperately trying to capture all the attention, hey, everyone, look at me over here. I'm up on this where I shouldn't be. And I know the teacher's trying to teach class, but look at what I'm doing over here. It's just like so pathetic, is trying to capture all the shine and pouting when all eyes are not on them. It's so odd.
It is odd. And knowing what his Ryan Reynolds bio is off the top of your head without picking up your phone and going, oh, I remember it was really cringe. Let me pull it up. Oh, yeah, it says this. No, he has that memorized.
Right.
Like, he has
good catch.
A vendetta against Ryan Reynolds that had prompted him to go and dig up this so-called dirt about how douchey Ryan Reynolds is, and now he's going to throw it in Ryan Reynolds' face publicly on Adam Carolla. And it reminds me of this is apropos of nothing, but I really enjoy the MTV show The Challenge. It's like the only thing I watch on MTV, and it's also one of the best reality shows, hands down, between anybody that likes those reality game shows, because it's got everything. We talked about it. It's got sex appeal, it's got drama, it's got humor, it's got action, and it's got history. And these two characters, this one character, Cara Maria, who has been a champion in her own right and won $1 million. She's won millions of dollars on this show, but this other woman sends her home every time just because she's like a physically bigger person. This woman, Laurel, and Cara Maria cannot stop thinking about how Laurel has the capacity to send her home basically whenever she wants. Like, if you put these two in a head-to-head challenge, Laurel is going to send Cara Maria home, and Cara Maria knows it, and she can't get out of her head. She thinks about it all the time.
It's living rent-free in your head.
Yeah. Laurel lives rent-free in Cara Maria's head, and Ryan Reynolds lives rent-free in TJ Miller's head. And that's how you say that, Rob Saul. Rob Saul fucked that up.
Yeah, like TJ Miller, it seems like he can't it's the same. It's what we said like at the beginning of this is like, okay, he's handsome, his wife's hotter, he's funnier, he's more successful, he's everything, you know. In like TJ Miller just can't get over the fact that Ryan Reynolds he's got it all, and TJ Miller is just kind of a B-list guy, and he just can't get over that.
Yeah.
Okay, in believe this is the last Adam Carolla clip here. This one's called Deluded.
Would you think that he would know there was a rift with you guys? Because
think so, or he's so deluded that he's like, you know, everybody loves me. Everybody likes me. So TJ probably just wishes that he could work with me again. So I think some people aren't totally self-aware, but I wouldn't, you know, other places have been like,
Said the kettle.
3, what's the deal? Can you talk about it? And it's like, I would not have done Deadpool 3 if they came to me and they were like, we want you to do Deadpool 3 and we're going to pay you twice as much.
Over that.
Again, no one is offering you that, you insane dildo. No one is saying go back to doing 6 sets to an empty room. You know, I watched some of his stand-up once, and do a double feature with him and Alice Wetterland. It's not funny. Like, it's not funny comedy, really. It's what they do on the side. It's Jeremy Piven and fucking Michael Winslow and JJ Walker. Like, these are like, he's better than that. Yeah, I don't want. I'm lumping him. He's a bit funnier than that. But he said, I thought maybe I left this clip. I must have dropped it out. He's just like, I just wear a funny suit. Like he's like ripping off Doug Stanhope, where he's just wearing this like plaid Rodney Dangerfield outfit on stage, and that's supposed to be funny. You know, it's just not. It's not a set. It's not a written joke. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Rodney Dangerfield is doing it, but he has the jokes. That's not the point. But he's not doing. He's not Mark
Al
Norman.
Shervick than Rodney.
He's not Mark Norman, where he's got a million punchlines in an hour.
Yeah.
You know,
He's not Jimmy Carr.
Is that? Do you have anything else, Joe?
We have a bit of a resolution here. Like, this is where you would think there would be an apology, either Ryan Reynolds apologizing to TJ for his behavior, or TJ apologizing for the things that he said. But he's back on Jim and Sam.
Ryan Reynolds reached out to you because of your comments.
And I bet not. I heard he's very mean.
Yeah, he has.
Oh shit.
It was really cool. He emailed me the next day and kind of said this is, and it was a misunderstanding. So I emailed him back, and now it's like fine.
Wow.
You know?
Did you think he would get back to you or no?
No. What's ridiculous is it was just me telling a story from on set that I thought was weird. That was it. But I just wasn't thinking about how the media will meet it.
Right.
So, and that's a big problem I have in general, is kind of not thinking about what the repercussions of saying this or that would be.
Yeah, it sounds like you owe someone an apology, probably. You said he's too handsome, too successful. He's hard to work with. He's insecure. He's fake. He's deluded. Yeah, it was a total misunderstanding. Ryan Reynolds misunderstood all of the fucking shit that you slung his way, and that Michael Bay thinks he's a dickhead too. What a misunderstanding. I'm sure that's exactly how the conversation went.
Yeah, he did one take on Deadpool where he hurt my feelings. So I went on Adam Carolla and shit on him for 20 minutes. And then Ryan Reynolds called me and said, sorry, I hurt your feelings. And then I went on Jim and Sam and said, oh, yeah, he apologized to me, so we're cool. Not, I'm sorry that I shit on him on Adam Carolla. You should be saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, but like I said, there's no apologies here. It's like, it's just excuses and quote unquote reasons. You know, my mental illness. Everyone needs to give me a wide berth because I had a piece of my brain removed. You know, it's just like that means you should have apologies, you know, ready to go. and be like, hey, I'm sorry, this is just a condition I have, and let them, let it go and forgive you for your bad behavior. But yeah, it's just like he said it at the end. He's just like, he just like runs his mouth. He burns every bridge. He's just like, he sees nothing wrong with saying whatever pops into his fucking head about whoever he worked with. And I mean, it's just not, I'm really shocked that he still gets work, really.
Well, that's the thing. You're probably not in Deadpool 3 because it's difficult to have you on set. Producers probably said it's going to be an easier shoot without him.
He's exhausting is what it is.
And I'm not saying that it just seems like a personality flaw of his. It's very easy to be like, well, he's a sociopath and he's a narcissist and he doesn't have the capacity to, have the empathy to apologize, and realize that what he does affects other people.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe because of the brain injury, he doesn't. But I do think, how we are on this show, it's a human experience to demand and issue apologies, and it just doesn't seem like he ever thinks that he's in the wrong or will own up to it, even if he was.
Well, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because if you want content and you want somebody to you can wind him up and he'll go, right? He will go. If you wind him up, he'll go. But it's like dealing with Homer Simpson. It's funny for a half an hour. If you had to deal with him, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you'd be like, I can't. What the fuck what are we doing?
I mean, imagine what it's like to be his wife, and how does she manage him?
I don't know, but once again, I'll come back. I've said it multiple times. The reason, I have a bit of a hard time making sense of it is they seem to have a very good relationship. I don't mean seem to have. I mean that he is always they seem that they have a loving relationship. She's always there. You heard him mention her nonstop through multiple interviews.
Yeah,
she's always with him.
It's probably codependence. I mean, I'm speculating on all this, and like I said, Drew is a friend of his. He's a friend of mine, so I'm not trying to step on anybody's dick with these comments when really all I'm doing is telling tales out of school based on these clips that we just watched.
Yeah.
But it seems like they must have some kind of codependency. Obviously, he has some kind of blind spot in the way that he operates through life, and she is probably managing his affairs to a certain degree, so they are codependent and reliant on each other in that way.
I think
that's just my take.
I think the other thing that we see with him is that he just craves a real experience in life. I mentioned Doug Stanhope. I feel like he's another type of person in this way where fake Hollywood bullshit becomes very boring for him and he would rather just walk away. He has fuck you money, from whatever the EMOJI Movie or whatever he's done. He's successful. He is funny. I think as a character, he shines, and it seems like he might since he has fuck you money, he can do whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants, and he just functions the way he wants. And I think he just, like he said in there, is I'll do 6 sets for no money, and I would just rather be among the people and touring the country and living a real life than trying to be the most popular fake person in Hollywood. And I think that, say we've said plenty here, but I also would say that there's there's at least a good thing to be said about that of the man.
Yeah. And I will say he does make me laugh. I enjoy him when he's on screen and in things and being funny. But like you
Silicon
said,
Valley's
terrific,
unquestionably great. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to rewatch it, but I think you had a good point when you made the Homer Simpson comparison. It's a guy that you want to watch on screen for a half hour and then put it aside and not deal with him consistently on a regular basis, because it does seem like it just becomes a TJ show 24/7
Mhm.
and becomes exhausting. So
Mhm.
to that point, I think that there's not really a whole lot of apology coming out of this, and I think this is the perfect drop for TJ Miller.
Yeah. And I think, but he might be the shining example of like, you don't have to walk around your whole life apologizing for every little thing. People have reasons for, what they do, good or bad, but
Oh, that's why Joe. That's why he doesn't get along with Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is Canadian. All they do is walk around saying sorry, both.
sorry.
All they do is say
Sorry about that.
so. TJ Miller doesn't apologize for everything.
He's a
or
fucking
anything.
American.
Ryan Reynolds is apologizing for everything. All the
You know
time.
what? There couldn't be. That might be true. He seems like very New York, right? He talked about the train thing being in New York. It's New York versus Canada in that whole scenario, and they probably embody that.
They're always going to butt heads.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was pretty interesting. We haven't had an episode quite like that, and I appreciate it that it had nothing to do with sexual assault. Well, a little bit, but not really. And
Unapologetically.
nothing to do with the N word. And I can't tell you how glad I am that we covered something that didn't include that for once. So I do want to once again encourage everybody to please follow us on Instagram and comment and engage and or follow us on YouTube and support the show on Patreon, and even just sharing the show. Just
YouTube.
tell somebody.
We need to go, Andy. Our goal is more YouTube followers. We need like Rob Saul monetization here.
Yeah.
How is Rob Saul's fucking monetized on YouTube and we're not? Come on, everybody, help us out here.
Yeah, just share the show. I don't even want your Patreon dollar. I do want your Patreon dollars. I could really use some more Patreon subscribers. But I would love it if you just told somebody about the show and we had a couple more downloads. So just share the show, support the show for free. You could join the Patreon for free. There's free content on there. Even probably too much, I would say, too much free content on there. And there's a bunch of things on there now. So
giving it away.
Yeah, we're giving away the farm over there. So check that out at patreon.com/allapologiespodcast. For Joe's Six-Pack, for Fat Edsy, I'm Trucker Andy saying,
stay sorry.